Now, you may have heard this story before, but maybe not quite like this. This right here is the true version of a story that happened not so long ago. Now, all the folks down in Blackrock liked themselves some Christmas. The country town decorated itself to the gills with not a saloon uncussed. But the outlaw known as Slim Pickens, who lived in the wasteland, was not quite so joyous. Slim hated Christmas, the whole hoot and holler. Now, don't you wonder, nobody knows why. Maybe the railroad post office never delivered his tie. It could be that he was mixed up in the head, or maybe he just needed a new bed. But I think the most likely culprit was that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, the harder the tie, he stood there on Christmas Eve in a crowd of folk listening to a railroad feller.
I want to thank y'all for being so welcoming to us railroad folk. We've just received a big old investment from back east, and we want to share some of that with y'all kind people. We'll be staying here over Christmas time. We'll be blessing everyone with some special new toys and gifts. The train will be arriving today, and we'll be delivering the gifts to y'all tonight for a hoppin' Christmas morning.
Ridiculous.
Slim walked slowly over to the local saloon to where he knew he'd have more than a pint soon.
Tomorrow is Christmas. It's almost here, dagnabbit. I know that tomorrow all folks small and tall are gonna wake up at the crack of dawn to get their toys and gifts and ruin my quiet. Then the folks young and old will have their yearly shindig and feast on roast beef and worst of all, once the chapel bell starts ringing, they'll stand all together and start singing. I've put up with this for too long. But what to do? What to do?
Say something there, friend?
Nothing. Don't you worry.
Hey now, you gonna pay for that? You bastards.
As Slim traipsed out of the bar and over to his horse, he had a thought, which wasn't too common. This usually was accompanied by Robin.
I've got it. I've got it. I'll bloomin' rob the place, but not just this place. All the places. I'll come out, under the cover of night, after the gifts are delivered, and take them over yonder to the cliff by the river. If I dress like St. Nick, no one will see it coming. And once I succeed, off I'll go running. All riding, Max. Don't you worry.
Now, this town wasn't defenseless from these sort of machinations. They had a good old Madam Sheriff, Miss Lottie O'Toole. She watched as Slim slunk away out of town with a whole mess of saddlebags, and she thought to herself, something's about to go down.
Something's about to go down. That there feller is as crooked as a dog's hind leg. We better be careful about these parts.
Yoo-hoo! How you doing there, Miss Lottie? My, a horse seems to have stepped on my foot.
Be right there, Mary Lynn.
Well, the train arrived right as scheduled. The train folk unloaded and passed the packages to each individual house. Some packages large, others small. The general store got an extra large barrel of crackers, and little Billy Hensley would receive baby's first poker set. This would lead to a downward spiral in his later years, but we'll come back to that later. Slim did just what he said. He felt a touch of whimsy and found himself in the outfit of one St. Nick. He managed to make a contraption to mount a rack of deer horns to his horse. And just like that, St. Nick found his reindeer. He grabbed all the saddlebags he could find and attached them to Max's saddle. Up he went into the saddle as Max looked on grumpily. Off they rode into the evening. Off he went to the first house, listening to the window to make sure all were out. He easily slid into the house and quietly grabbed the packages from inside. Back out he crept, package in hand. Onward he went from home to bungalow, taking package after package which went directly to the saddlebags. getting as big as Brewster County. Checkerboards, packs of cards, gingham fabric, nothing left behind. He even broke into the general store, taking everything on the shelves.
Anyone home? No? Shame.
Not that he knew where he was going to keep a steer's worth of canned peaches, but he was sure he'd figure it out. Out they went, into the bags. Place to place he went, shiftlessly, rummaging through the homes for the packages. It honestly was a wonder no one stirred, but then again, at 3 a.m., who really would? The saddlebags now could fit the entirety of Texas, and possibly parts of the Oklahoma Panhandle. His task almost completed. The chapel now missing some fancy silver candlesticks. He moved on to his final location, the orphanage. There were more packages here than almost all the other houses combined. He pondered to himself, how in the world would he get these all in one trip? Suddenly, something he had not readied himself for. A quiet sound behind him startled the outlaw as he placed his hand on his gun. It was a small child holding a bowl of soup.
Santa Claus, Mr. Sir, St. Nicholas.
Slim was not ready to slip into his costumed role as St. Nick, but here he was.
Well, hello there, kiddo. How are you doing this fine evening?
I'm Cindy Lou, and I'm as fine as frog fur. I'm excited for Christmas morning, Mr. Nicholas, sir.
Well, I'm, glad to hear that. I'm sure it'll be just swell.
Mr. Nicholas Claus, sir, can I ask a question? Why are you grabbing all our presents?
This was it, the big moment. What would Slim Pickens say? No, not Slim Pickens. Santa Claus. Slim thought to himself. Stress rising.
Well, you see, dear girl, I accidentally delivered all these presents to the wrong town. Yes, all of these presents were actually supposed to be delivered to Rawls, and their presents were supposed to come here. A big mix-up in the organizational side of things.
That makes sense. Do you need any help loading the rest of the presents?
She lifted a small box, cute as a button. Cindy, not the box. Maybe also the box. It had a cute bow after all.
Sure.
After Cindy bundled up, the two headed outside with their respective packages. Max stood, wide-eyed, looking from Slim to Cindy. Cindy took one look at Max's deer horns and gasped.
Is this your reindeer? He's so cute. Can I pet him?
Sure, kiddo. Go ahead.
The two finished their loading of gifts, and Cindy went back to the door of the orphanage. The overhead signs of the place hanging a little to the side, diagonally. She bundled her shawl around her and waved to St. Nick.
Good luck, Mr. Nicholas. Will you bring the other presents back here by Christmas morning?
I sure will, Cindy. Don't you worry. I'll be back.
Slim got up in the saddle and began to trot Max away as Cindy waved. She continued to wave until Slim was out of sight. The two took their prizes and headed to the outside of town, taking the back route out of town.
Whew. That was a close call, Max.
What Slim didn't know was that Miss Sheriff Lottie was just about to finish her rounds in the town and head to bed. As she made her way to the bunkhouse on the edge of town, she noticed a large moving figure that looked somewhat like an elephant. So what she imagined an elephant would look like. She rubbed her eyes thinking she'd imagined it, but no. Off the figure trotted out of town. Sheriff Lottie ran to the stable and grabbed her horse, giving it a good rustle on the head to wake her up.
Giddy up, Lucy.
This Slim did hear.
Jerusalem crickets. Come on, Max, let's get out of Dodge.
While Lucy was the fastest horse objectively, even with a large load on Max's back, Slim had a head start and made it up to the cliff above the Pecos River. Slim began to unload the saddlebags off of Max and held one over the cliff edge.
Now you hold it right there, Thaddeus J. Grinch.
Now, Slim hadn't heard his Catholic name in a while, and this was a surprise to him.
Now hold on a tick, lawman. Woman.
The loading of the packages had taken far longer than Slim had expected. If he had just been a few moments sooner, he would have gotten away and no one would be the wiser. The sun began to crest the horizon, and the countryside brightened. As they stood there, weapons drawn, he with his saddlebag, her with her gun, they began to hear a soft noise. While Slim expected to hear the cries of lost Christmas presents and other somber sounds, he put his head to his ear and heard something entirely different. This sound wasn't sad at all. In fact, these folks sounded almost glad. All the folk down in Blackrock, man, woman, girl, and boy, were singing.
Now, wait just a cotton-picking minute. I don't understand. These folk are as broke as a sick horse, and they still have the joy to sing about Jesus and Christmas.
It didn't make any sense. Christmas had come regardless of what he had done. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. Then Thaddeus thought of something that he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas is more than just presents and gifts. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
And then what happened, you ask? Well, in Blackrock, they say that Thaddeus' small heart grew as big as a boarding house cat.
All right, Sheriff, you win. Let's take these packages back down to Blackrock.
And so they did. Lottie's gun trained on him the entire time. This turned out to be unnecessary. He went through the entire town handing out parcels and packages, stopping last at the orphanage, seeing Cindy Lou, who was definitely confused but entirely convinced that this time she had the right present. She happily took her package and gave Thaddeus a hug. This process took a good few hours, but eventually, finally, the ordeal was over. All packages retrieved and given to their proper owners. In the spirit of Christmas, Slim was still invited to the potluck shindig and offered a place at the long table. Max was given some warm carrots, much to his enjoyment.
What a day.
You know I still gotta take you in for this, right?
I know. But for now, let's just enjoy the moment. Sheriff.
Alrighty then.
The two partook of the Christmas festivities, which went long into the evening. Somehow, during the Christmas time events, Slim snuck off back into the wasteland. Back to his home, Slim sat back in his cowhide chair and looked up into the brightening sky.
Welcome, Christmas. Welcome, Jesus.
There you go. A Blackrock Christmas tale. I hope you enjoyed this Christmas story. I'm sure there's a moral in there somewhere, but that's up for you to find. I've got lots of other stories to tell, but that's gonna have to wait for another time. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.